So my name's Avery, and I'm a political science and a global studies minor. And yeah,
Okay. How do you feel about the emergence of Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee?
I think it's really very interesting to me. It's so interesting because a lot of politicians have had so many tries and trials and errors of trying to get the younger generation really interested in their platforms or even what they're speaking about and getting that participation from the younger generation that doesn't really believe in voting or doesn't seem to like have that same passion as most people. Um, but seeing Kamala Harris getting that participation from kids my age and striking those conversations and having things like this where we're interviewing each other and talking about Kamala, I think that I haven't really seen a lot of politicians being able to do that. So I think it's like a breath of fresh air seeing a strong willed and a career woman in politics kind of leading that charge, especially since she's not extremely old. And yeah.
What would you say is her biggest positive contrast from Joe Biden?
Definitely the first thing that comes to mind is her age. I think the way she can connect with younger people and the way that she's handling herself with these politicians and the debates. It's really hard to being a woman of color, being surrounded in such a male-dominated field, especially in like an older generation. Seeing her stand her ground, and I just think it's such a phenomena, in my opinion.
How do you feel about the median age of Congress?
It's concerning to say the least. Because my grandfather is kind of around the same age, and even he's like, they need newer, younger people to actually represent the population that they are saying that they are representing.
What political issues matter most to you as a college student?
Right now, it's kind of medical issues, dealing with being away from home and having my parents not be there to help me with insurance and stuff, and having to deal with all these financial burdens. And I think her policies on Medicaid and price gouging on groceries, I think, is really important for college students because we're kind of entering that age where we're kind of diverging from family support and like that financial support that comes with it, and being able to understand what's going on policy wise is really important as a college student because you no matter what you say that politics is going to affect you, and whether that's as menial as like groceries or as big as you got into an accident and your insurance won't cover it. I think it's really important, especially if you're transferring from uh, being super within your family and relying on them and then not anymore.
How do you feel about government student loan forgiveness?
I would really like it because I think we are getting to that point where a lot of our generation is it's becoming more normal for everybody to go to undergrad, and undergrad is getting very very expensive, as we all know. And then we would also it's becoming more socially acceptable for to go to masters, and so instead of it becoming, yeah, to get into the job market you need a high school diploma, and then that became into getting into your undergrad. Now everybody's getting their master's degree or getting into higher education, and I think we really need to focus more on making that accessible to everybody since the job market is growing fast and it's becoming a lot more competitive, and we need to keep up with that. And not a lot of people have that privilege of being able to pay for all of that higher education.
What do you think is driving up tuition prices nationwide?
Tuition prices? Ooh, I actually have not done a lot of research on tuition prices, but I really think it's um, the difference between in-state tuition and out-of-state tuition, and just the cost of living within that state, depending on, like, for example, like if you're living in New York versus you're living here in Arkansas, it's a lot cheaper to go to Arkansas. But if you don't want to go to Arkansas, you're gonna want to go somewhere else, and that gets a lot more expensive. And there's not a lot of, I mean, there is a lot of opportunities and scholarships, but not as much as that we should have for a lot of our generation right now.
Okay. And last thing, where do you get your news from primarily, and how often do you check this source or sources?
So I actually have to like argue with my Google Nest to like give me the news of the morning. Sometimes I like to cross-reference because I'm a poli-sci kid, and so I do a lot of research. And so whether that's in classes when I'm talking in my American national government, they'll usually ask, and then so that turns into me looking at CNN or looking at the Washington Post and kind of cross-referencing which is what's happening, and then looking at congressional hearings, looking at debates. I am a firm believer of cross-referencing news platforms because news platforms aren't being as unbiased as they should be, and it's a big problem. And like being able to like understand that there's disinformation and there's a lot of rhetoric happening around the politics in the U.S. right now, and being able to educationally like understand what's happening and analyze that is really important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very good answer. Thank you very much.
Of course.
That's